There we go. Right, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're here to talk to another one of our members is Emily. Now, Emily joined us back in January, middle of January. As a member in our group in Pollockshields up until March, until we had to close all group doors permanently. And 10 days later, we opened up our virtual groups, and Emily was there from day one in our virtual groups. We're just saying that Emily's been a member on our Zoom groups longer than the virtual groups. So, Emily, how are you finding it compared to the real world?
I'm really enjoying it, and it's been a really interesting way, because actually, in many ways, I don't feel like we've lost. I feel in some ways we've actually gained something, especially chatting with the other group who's also in on our Zoom as well.
Yeah, that's the Newton Mearns crowd, yeah.
Yeah, so it just creates like a really good atmosphere, and everyone's just wanting to share, and it's a really lovely way just to connect with everyone, and remind you that there's a world outside.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I think it's been great.
And since we got to Zoom, it's not stopped you losing weight, because in the 14 weeks you've been Stone of the Week twice. You were Stone of the Month in April, so the first full month of Zoom, you were Stone of the Month. You've achieved your 1 stone award, your 1.5 stone award, and you've lost 10% of your start weight, so you've actually got over that Club 10 weight.
Yeah.
So have you struggled at any point at all since going to lockdown?
Yeah, 100%. Like, my bookshelf behind me is covered in baking books.
Right, no, that's fine.
I had to really resist the urge to follow everyone else and go into full banana bread mode.
Right, yeah. It seemed like the Facebook page was full of people's banana bread pictures, and yeah.
So I've done a little bit of baking, but for me, actually, what's been really lovely is being able to really take the time and experiment with lots of the Slimming World recipes, stuff that I wouldn't necessarily, like, I have always had like a really good basic knowledge, but time to try really different ingredients and things. So there's been like a lot of opportunity to do that, and that's been really interesting. The real challenge was about halfway through, and I really lost my mojo and my motivation at that point. But having group was really important, because then I could come on and say, hands up, I've not had a great week. And people were like, it's okay, we know how you feel.
Which is great. And it's that you could have took the choice of, like, I'm not going to go onto the Zoom, I'll wait until it goes back to the real world. Mm-hmm. What would have happened there if you decided, no, I'm just going to sack it until groups are back in the halls and the clubs and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I'm only laughing because I'm like, I think instead of going for lots of my Slimming World recipes, I probably would have made everything in those cooking books. So I think it's really good that I stayed. Yeah, I definitely would have put on everything that I'd lost.
Okay.
For sure.
So for those that are watching this at the moment, explain what you have to do with group, what happens on a Monday.
So send you my weight first thing in the morning. Once I find the magic spot in my hallway that my scale fit on right.
Right, yeah, because it's you're in an alternate building, so the floors aren't quite your level, as you were saying, yeah.
No, you can roll a ball from one end down to the other. So finding a spot where it was level was really important. So once I've sent you my weight, at 8 o'clock in the evening, you've sent us a Zoom code, and we just log in on that. And yeah, it's really nice. I actually really like those first few minutes, because it is just like being in like going to group in the hall, because everyone's kind of like, hello, how are you?
Yeah. Everybody wants to know what's going on, how people are getting on. Yep. Yeah. People are missing each other. Yeah.
Massively.
And you said earlier on, since the two groups joined together, it's not as if, it's this us and them. You all talk to one another in that same place, and you give each other advice, which I think is absolutely great. I mean, I could sit back and you guys do it all yourselves, because you really help motivate each other, which is amazing. Now, if anyone's watching this that's decided not to come to Zoom for whatever reason, whether the fact that they're furloughed and they can't afford to come, or the fact that they want to go to a physical group, what would you say to them?
Well, I'm furloughed, and so I totally get the idea that, like, money's a little bit tight and you want to be a bit careful. But actually, spending that reduced rate that we've had on our group while we've been in virtual mode, I still feel is a massive, worthwhile investment.
Right.
It's an investment in my health, and I think that's really important, and not something that I should give up on just because I can't go into a church hall and have that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like definitely make that investment. It's just a really important one, and it's not scary. I mean, I was nervous as anything to go to my first group meeting, but it's just such a warm and welcoming community, and none of that's lost in translation onto the digital platform. Like none of that gets lost because everyone is just so lovely.
Brilliant. And every week when I'm doing the Zoom and I've got all the 20 people on the screen, and I always spot that you've got a pen in your hand. Why is that?
Because I write down my weight when I'm in group into my book. So I text you my weight in the morning, but then when I come to group, I've got my book in front of me. I write down my weight, and then I'll write down little things during group session if people like suggest a recipe or things. I'm always like I'm doodling that on the back of a piece of paper.
Brilliant. That's it. And straight after the group finishes, the first post that usually comes on Facebook is you with your plan of action.
Yeah.
You love your plan of actions.
I'm really like, I used to be a teacher, so that kind of being very planned and very organized just makes me feel better. And also for like losing weight, having a sense of, well, this is what I'm eating today takes a lot of the stress and worry out of it.
Right.
And even if I then want to change things around, so say, oh, I actually want to make Wednesday's dinner on a Tuesday, like I can do that, but I haven't think about it.
Yeah, so you've got it all planned, so you've probably done all your shopping, so you've got the ingredients in already. Yeah. At any point, have you ever struggled to find anything in the shops? You know, obviously at the beginning of lockdown, there was quite a lot of stuff missing.
I've done okay. I think a lot of the stuff that was missing was stuff like plain flour.
Right,
which
okay.
Don't need an awful lot of on food optimizing. So things like that, there was a little bit of a struggle. The only thing I struggled with really was finding my right soya milk.
Right.
But that came back into stock relatively quickly.
I noticed that at the beginning, long life milk and that sort of stuff was selling it quite fast as well. Yeah. It's quite understandable. People panic buying, people stocking up. So are you've been followed and you live on the top floor of your tenement block. Are you able to get out and doing a bit of body magic, and especially when the weather's like this?
Yeah. So I live not too far away from Queen's Park, which is this beautiful, massive green space, like literally 5 minutes from my doorstep. So I have got to know every inch of that park during lockdown, which has been really lovely. And I've also done some yoga just on my like streaming it through my television, moving all the furniture out of the way. And I was like Googling workouts that wouldn't upset my downstairs neighbour.
Right, okay, right. So Zumba classes were out the window then.
Yes, no Zumba, but you just have to Google them, and there's loads and loads of like no jumping workouts.
Right.
Exactly what I needed.
Which is quite good if anyone's got an injury to the lower joints, like the knees and ankles, and so you don't want to be putting too much impact on those sort of joints. Absolutely great. So Emily, thank you for coming on today and take this time out just to talk to people about Stoneworld. You are doing great on the plan. £1 average every week is absolutely amazing. Yep. I look forward to seeing how you're getting on this week and seeing how your plan of actions work this week. And thank you for coming on and telling people all about our group.
Oh no, you're very welcome, and thank you. Yeah, it's been great having that support every week. Thank you so much for that.
Well, thanks, Emily. Okay. On that note, guys, we're going to sign off now. As I say, if you want to join us, it's every Monday night, as Emily says, at 8 o'clock. You just text me to join. So my number will be on the end of this video and in the description. Just text me any details, and I'll get back to you with all the details. Okay, bye.